loved ones, you're welcome. In this video, I made cute jacket with African fabric called Ankara. I made this for my church choir as one of our uniforms, so I'll be showing you one of the ways I use in making clothes. So as some of you may know already, you can use pattern drafting to cut clothes and make clothes as well. You can also use draping, but in this video, I'll be showing you basic steps on how you can cut and sew this lovely jacket with freehand sketching on the fabric itself. I believe this is a simple method and also straightforward. So you will need tape measure, you need a tailor chalk or dressing making pencil, a measuring ruler, and also sewing pins. For this, definitely you need a sewing machine, scissors, fabric, and thread. I'm not going to add that to this jacket, so which makes it so easy to understand and put together for beginners. In few seconds you will see that I have already gone ahead and make the measurement on the fabric. The technique is divide whatever you have in your measurement by 4. Then you fold your fabric according to your result, and after that you make sure you lay everything flat. So from the shoulder you measure the chest line, the chest, and also you measure the waistline, you measure the hip, and lastly you measure the length of your jacket depending on what you want. So this is what I was talking about. You mark your measurement on the fabric for the chest, for the waistline, and for the hip. So let's say the hip is 40, then you have to divide by 4, which you will have 10, then you mark 10 on the fabric. For the shoulder, you have to divide by 2, whatever you have, then you put it on the fabric, you mark it, and also you have to get your neckline. Since this is the back, I'm cutting the back first. So it mustn't be too low, and I'm making it 2 by 3. Then you make the armhole. Usually it's between 8, 9, and 10, depending on who you're making the cloth for. And you have to pin everything together nicely so it doesn't move around. And for you to have accurate cut when you cut your fabric. Then you go back to the shoulder, measure half an inch on the shoulder, and you draw a straight line from the neckline down to the shoulder. It will form a slant sketch from the neckline to the shoulder. When cutting, make sure you leave seam allowance of half an inch so you can sew on that. So for this video, I'm now putting all the stitches in. That is, the raw seam will still show by the sides after I finish sewing, and this is because I want also to show you how to overlock the fabric edges. So this is the back piece, and you put it aside. Make sure you label it, most especially when the wrong side is almost the same as the right side. This is the front piece. I already have the measurement on the fabric, so you don't have to do much. Just transfer what you have on the back to the front. The difference is just the neck, because you have to make the neckline come down a little. So now this one is 3 by 4. So to make it easy, you can just transfer what you have for the front piece on the back, but just make sure that you get the accurate measurement, and also cut the shoulder 1 inch below the shoulder, and also make sure you cut the length of the fabric. Remember, we're cutting the front piece, so we have to open the front so that we can have the right piece and the left piece. You know, we have to make sure that we get that style in the front, which is going to come out this way. Then you will cut the facing that will match the fabric, because when you open your jacket, you want it to look exactly the same as the main fabric, and you want it to look neat and perfect. So you can just draw a straight line on the main body and make sure that the remaining is your lining. Then you unpin the fabric, separate the fabric so you can label it, and you can as well mark it on the wrong side. So you do this if your fabric wrong side is almost the same as the right side. You want to make sure that you don't make any mistake when you're joining your fabric. So you use the same measurement or your front fabric, then you use it to cut your facing. So this is what I'm doing, and you have to cut it open as well for the facing, because the main fabric is open in front and the facing has to be open as well. So now you have the facing, you have the right and the left of the facing. Like I said, you have to label it so that you'll be able to know which one is the center font or which one is the main fabric. And in case you are using a fabric that the wrong side is also like the right side or almost like the right side, you have to label it. So for this is the center font and also the main fabric. So you should have two center facings, both for the left and the right. So you place one of them together, that is the center facing with the main fabric. So the wrong side must be facing you because that's what you're going to sew on, while the right side must face each other of the fabric. So after that, make sure that you put them together nicely. Then cut the remaining part of the facing and make sure you join it together like the way I'm showing you right now. Then always make sure that you cut the facing 1 inch shorter than the main fabric, so when you turn it, it will look nice and professional. And this is how you're gonna join it. Make sure you join both center facing and the remaining part of the facing together. Then we have the complete piece of the right side of the front. Then do the same for the left side of the front. So now this is the back. We want to cut the lining for the back. Remember that the back is one piece. We don't have to open that. There's no need to measure on the lining again. Just make sure you place your back piece, that is the main fabric, on that particular lining that you have. Then you have your back facing already. So the same rule applies, 1 inch shorter than the main fabric when you cut your lining, and also notch the edge of the fabric. When you open the fabric, that will be the middle. So you're doing this because when you sew, you want to have accurate sewing. So label the back or you mark it with the tailor chalk, then you pack it aside. Now to the sleeve. So you have to pin it together and measure the length of the sleeve. And whatever you have, you need to divide the circumference by 2. So that is what I'm doing right now. You have to divide it by 2. Whatever you have, you mark it on the fabric. You can check in the description below for my first YouTube video on how to measure yourself. So for this sleeve, make sure that the armhole is the same measurement with the one that you have on the jacket. Then you notch your sleeve. You need 2 sleeves, so you can cut separately like I'm doing in this video just to show you, and transfer what you have on the fabric to cut your second sleeve, or you can fold your fabric into 4 to get both sleeves. Same method when you're cutting the sleeve facing, just make sure you transfer your sleeve on the facing. Note that pinning is good to hold your clothes together before taking to your machine. Now it's time to sew and join them together, taking this to my domestic machine where the miracle happens. So take any part of the front piece, it could be the left or the right, and this is the facing of one of the piece, then join it together. You also want to join the neck side and also the bottom of the jacket. So this is what I'm doing that I have on the screen, and make sure you sew with 1 straight stitch of 1/2 inch allowance. Then move over to the neck. So to sew the neck and the front, you could sew this way, and the technique is you could turn if you are a pro, and you can as well press, then turn your fabric and continue. So isn't this interesting? And make sure that when you get to the bottom of the fabric, and I mean the jacket, you will have something like this, because remember that you have 1 inch shorter for the facing to the main fabric. So all you need to do is to just turn it this way, then you continue sewing. Next, we cut the seams a little to ease the seams, so when you turn it inside out, it helps the fabric to lay flat and relax well even before ironing or pressing with iron. So this is what you have. You can see that it's looking so neat and nice without even pressing it at all. So you turn it inside out, and for the cutting of the seams, you can use small scissors. You don't have to use big scissors because I don't want you to cut the thread. So this is what we have. You can see that that is looking nice and neat already. So you see why you have to use the same fabric for your center facing, so that when you open your jacket, you want it to look very perfect and also without any seams or raw edges. Moving to the back, join the back facing and also the fabric and make sure you cut the seams. Please don't cut the thread. This is pro tip, come closer. So it's called top stitching. If you're a beginner, I don't advise you do this, but with practice you get better. So that's a way you sew on the facing to press down the seams, and this will help you achieve a well relaxed cloth without having any stitches on the main fabric. We had done with the sewing of the front and the back. Now we move to the sleeves. So you pin it together. Make sure that your fabric is aligned properly, and this is what you have after sewing and the top stitching. So join the bottom of the sleeve and this is the result. So you can see from the display that there is no stitch on the main fabric. It's all clean. Then do straight stitching to join both ends. After that, take to the overlocking machine and overlock your sleeve. This is what you get after overlocking. Now I'm revealing what it looks like after joining the back, both sides of the front, the left and the right. So this can be styled in two different ways. You can decide to close the lapel of the jacket and you can open it if you want. When joining, you join the shoulder to shoulder. Then you fix the sleeve into the jacket. This is the review of the facing, and like I said earlier, I'm not putting all the seams in, so for the sake of the beginners so that they know how to join nicely, but that is why I'm using the interlocking so that you know how to make your work clean without putting all the seams in, and also overlock to make it clean. I'm using this method to join the shoulder for better understanding. So make sure that the right side is facing each other, the facing and also the main fabric, and this is what you get after joining. Repeat the same method for the other side. Join the front piece together to the back piece. So now I'm joining the left front piece to the back with one straight stitch, and also you do the same on the other side. Take to the overlocking machine and you overlock again. This is what you get after. So this is what the inside of the jacket looks like. Now we will move to attaching the sleeves to the jacket. So this is the first sleeve and the second sleeve. So attaching the sleeve may be a little bit challenging, but it's easy once you get the technique. So just make sure that you pin everything together nicely so that you get all accuracy. And attach your sleeve edge to the armhole of the jacket and sew it round. So please let me know in the comment section if you want me to do a sleeve tutorial separately, and I will try and make that ready for you to watch. So make sure you pin everything together, that is the sleeve and the main jacket. And when you start pinning, and make sure when you get to the shoulder, if you still have a little fabric, you may need to stretch it. That is part of the technique that I'm talking about. Or depending when you're cutting your sleeve, if you want little puff at the shoulder, you have to cut that with your sleeve. So this is where you also put that on the shoulder when you're sewing. Then you put everything together, and this is what you get after sewing the sleeve into the main jacket. And do the same steps for the other side of the jacket. You make sure you insert the sleeve into the jacket, and after doing that, this is the result of everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've learned something new. If you have any questions, suggestions, or ideas, please add them down below. And like I said earlier, there are several ways you can make clothes. This is just one of them all. So enjoy, have a great time sewing, and stay blessed.